In this video tutorial, we are demonstrating the TowerChart control, which is part of MindFusion Charting for JavaScript and is included in the JavaScript pack. We will build the TowerChart that you see right now. It shows the possession of the ball in a football game. We add data interactively, using the UI controls at the top. Each time the ball switches possession, we add the player who has it and the amount of time he has retained it. We need 5 scripts for our project. These scripts are part of the charting library, and you can download them with the JavaScript pack, which is also available from npm. You can download or install from npm just the charting library, which is offered as a separate library. We create 2 more files, one web page for the application and one JavaScript file. Now let's open the project folder in Visual Studio Code. We add a sample HTML code for our web page. We won't use any style sheets, so let's delete this row. Let's include now all files from the scripts folder to our web page. We need to add a reference to the code behind file as well. Let's add now the UI controls that allow us to type in the player's name and the time he was in possession of the ball. These are simple input elements with labels attached to them. Note that the duration input is of type number. This guarantees that the user will not be allowed to enter text and thus provide incorrect data. Now we need a canvas element for the chart. Let's add it. Here is the canvas element for the chart. As the other HTML elements, he has an ID. This is important because we need to refer to it from the code behind file. With that, our web page is ready and we can start coding the application. Let's add some namespace mappings to make writing the code easier. We need the charting, controls, and collections namespaces, as well as drawing, which holds all brushes and pens used by MindFusion JavaScript controls. We get the DOM element that corresponds to the canvas. Let's set the size of the chart. We get the client's width and height, and assign them to the chart element. Now we can create an instance of the TowerChart control. The TowerChart uses instances of the Event Series class to provide data. You can also implement your own series, as long as it provides 3-dimensional data. The first dimension specifies the order of the data. The second is the duration, and the third dimension is the length of the element along the auxiliary axis. Let's declare three variables. One is a global counter, one is for the sum of the time values to the left, and one for the sum to the right. We also get the elements that correspond to the two input fields, for the player name and the duration. Let's get the DOM element of the first button. We need to handle its click event. We get the value of the duration field and parse it. The value must be added to the global counter and to the left sum. We also update the title of the series, which will change the legend label for it. The new chart event that we create has the current global counter as its first dimension. The second dimension is the duration. The third value is a randomly generated number. It shows the length along the x-axis. We also need to update the range of the chart with the new data so we can fit all chart events. Finally, we reset the two input fields and draw the chart. If we have done everything correctly, we should be able to see the left series drawn. Let's try. We put a name, a duration, and here is the data. It's not pretty, but it renders. Now let's add the same code, but for the right side. We copy the method, replace left with right. Let's try the chart now. Yes, it adds chart events on both sides. Time to apply some styling to the chart. First, we add a collection of brushes, which will be used for painting the series. Each chart has a series style property, which is a property of the chart's plot, and each chart has a plot, of course. We also create a collection with strokes, and we create a per series style instance with those collections. Now each element from the series will be painted with the same brush from these collections. Let's use the theme class to change the font of data labels. The theme class has an enormous collection of appearance properties, and each chart has a theme property, from which you can access the styling settings. If you need to customize something on the look of your chart, chances are the property you need is part of the theme object. We have now the data labels bigger, which also affects the legend. Let's hide the legend title. We have no useful data to put there. We can add now some styling for the legend, and we are ready. We use the legend renderer to change the background and stroke of the legend. This is the last customization we have to make, and our chart is ready. We have an interactive chart written in pure JavaScript that shows us the dynamic of a football game. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest in MindFusion Developer Tools.